Most people don't realize this, but the more you try to control life, the more anxious, bitter, and exhausted you become. You plan every detail, you say yes to everyone, you try so hard to keep the peace, to hold it all together, and still, you feel like you're losing control. Why? Because trying to fix everything is the fastest way to feel broken. Ever wondered why you feel more tired after saying yes to things you didn't even want to do? Why your mind keeps spinning even when nothing is actually wrong? It's not that you're too sensitive. It's not that you're too weak. It's that you've been carrying too much of what was never yours to carry. Here's the paradox no one told you. The less you care about what's outside your control, the more peaceful, powerful, and present you become. And that's not giving up. That's growing up. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see the invisible strings that are making your life heavy, and you'll learn how to cut them one by one. Let's be honest, you're not here because everything is falling apart. You're here because everything seems fine on the outside, but inside, you're tired. Tired of overthinking, tired of second-guessing yourself, tired of trying to be everything to everyone. You're not chasing success anymore, you're chasing relief. And still, peace feels out of reach. Maybe it's because you were taught that worrying is a sign of responsibility, that stress is just part of being an adult, that being strong means holding it all in and carrying it alone. But what if they were wrong? What if worrying isn't a strength? What if it's a signal that something needs to change? That's what this video is about. The art of not worrying. Not because you don't care, but because you finally learned to care about the right things. Because here's the truth. You can't control what people think. You can't control the past. You can't predict the future. But you can take control of one thing. Your inner state. And that changes everything. Today, I'll walk you through 7 Stoic shifts. Simple, clear, and practical. That helped me stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter and start building a life that actually feels like mine. These aren't just mindset hacks. They're philosophical reset points, each one like a window. That lets the pressure out and the clarity in. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in what ifs and what will they think, you're going to see yourself in these lessons. And by the end, I'll share the most overlooked Stoic concept that finally taught me how to reclaim my energy without needing the world to change first. So get ready. Because what we're doing here is more than just learning philosophy. We're learning how to live lighter, stronger, and free from the chains you didn't even know you were wearing. Let me tell you a story, not about a hero, not about someone famous, just a man named Ben. Ben was the kind of person who always showed up. At work, at family events, in every group chat, he said yes to every request. He apologized even when he wasn't wrong. He kept the peace, kept his mouth shut, kept his worries to himself, and people loved him for it. But they didn't know that behind the smile. Ben was quietly falling apart. He couldn't sleep. His chest was always tight, and his mind, it never stopped spinning. He told himself he was being kind, that it was normal to feel this drained. But the truth, Ben wasn't tired from doing too much. He was tired from holding what wasn't his to hold. He carried people's moods. He carried their expectations. He carried the fear of disappointing them, more than the pain of betraying himself. Until one night, something snapped. He sat in his car, hands gripping the wheel, and whispered something no one had ever heard him say. "I'm done living like this." Not because he wanted to give up, but because for the first time in his life, he was ready to begin. That night, Ben didn't fix anything. He didn't quit his job. He didn't run away to a mountain. He just made a choice. He chose to stop saying yes when his body said no, He chose to start protecting his attention like it actually mattered. He chose to care more about his peace than about keeping everyone else comfortable. And that choice, it didn't change the world around him, but it completely changed the world inside him. Now here's the thing. Maybe you're not Ben, but maybe you've been carrying weights no one else can see. Invisible obligations, emotional debts, a constant pressure to be enough for people who never even asked what you needed. So before we go further, let me ask you this. What are you carrying that was never yours to begin with? Because sometimes the first step to freedom is not adding something new, it's putting something down. Lesson number 1, learn to say no and mean it. Let's start here with the smallest word that causes the biggest stress. No. It's just 2 letters, but for most people, it feels impossible to say. You say yes to meetings you don't need. You say yes to favors you can't afford. You say yes to dinners, to deadlines, to demands that don't align. And why? Because you don't want to seem rude, because you don't want to disappoint, because saying yes feels safer, even when it's slowly crushing your peace. But here's the cost. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you make a small silent trade, your peace for their comfort. And those trades add up. They steal your time, they steal your energy, they fill your life with things you never chose, and leave no space for the ones that matter. Now let's be clear. Saying no doesn't mean being selfish. It means being clear, because your time is not a donation bin. Your energy is not infinite. Your attention is not for sale. And the Stoics, they understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." In other words, if your values matter, protect them, not with fancy words, but with boundaries. Here's how to start. Next time someone asks for something, pause, breathe, and instead of reacting, ask yourself, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? Because every yes is a no to something else. Maybe it's your rest, maybe it's your focus, maybe it's your sanity. Now try this. Write down 3 things you want to protect this week. Your time, your attention, your peace. Then practice 1 sentence. Thanks for thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. Simple, respectful, final. No guilt, no apology, no over-explaining. Just a line in the sand. Not to push others away, but to finally stand where you belong. Because if you don't start saying no to what drains you, you'll never have the strength to say yes to what truly fuels you. Let's make it visual. Your calendar is a mirror, and right now, it may reflect more of who others want you to be than who you really are. So clean it up, clear the noise, and reclaim your space. Saying no isn't mean, it's meaningful. And when you learn to say it and mean it, you begin to live with power, not permission. Lesson number 2. Stop asking for permission. Give yourself authority. Let me ask you something real. How many dreams have you delayed? Just because you were waiting for someone else to say it was okay. You had the idea. You felt the pull. You knew what you wanted to try, create, become. But then you paused, you waited, you looked around and asked yourself, is this allowed? Will people get it? Will they approve? And just like that, the moment passed, the energy faded, and the opportunity slipped through. Here's the hard truth. The world won't give you permission to be free. You have to give it to yourself. Most of us were raised to be obedient, not authentic. We were taught to fit in, to wait our turn, to ask before we speak, and please before we dare. But that training, it turns into a mindset that kills momentum. Because if you wait for permission, you wait forever. The Stoics had something different in mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind. not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That means you don't need someone's approval to act on your values. You don't need validation to begin. You don't need confirmation to evolve. You need courage. You need conviction. You need choice. So here's a challenge. Think of one thing you've been delaying, not because it's wrong, but because you're afraid of how it will be received. Now ask yourself, if no one had an opinion, would I already have done it? If yes, do it, not recklessly. Not to prove anything, but because living in your truth is a higher form of responsibility than pleasing others. This is not about being rebellious, it's about being real, because every time you wait for permission, you reinforce the idea that someone else holds the key to your life. But you've had the key the whole time. Don't live as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Marcus Aurelius. That means don't just live by default. Don't keep waiting for the right time. Don't keep shrinking to fit the version of you someone else remembers. If you know what matters, if you know what's true for you. Act. No permission slip, no applause required. Just a quiet yes to your own authority. Because the day you stop asking for permission is the day you start leading your life instead of just surviving it. Lesson number 3, redefine success. Make it yours. Let's get brutally honest for a moment. Whose definition of success are you actually living by? The money, the job title, the home, the car, the life that looks right, but never quite feels right. From a young age, you were handed a script. Study hard, get a good job, buy things, climb the ladder, keep going, even if it empties you, and you did it. You played the game. You collected the points. You got the praise. But somewhere along the way, you lost the map. Because here's what no one told you. Success without alignment is just performance. It doesn't matter how high you climb. If the ladder's leaning against the wrong wall, the Stoics had a radically different take. To them, success wasn't about status. It was about virtue, about character, about living in tune with your values, not someone else's checklist. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." That line changed everything for me, because I realized I didn't want more. I wanted meaning. I wanted mornings that felt calm, work that felt purposeful, relationships that weren't just convenient, but honest. And I couldn't have that until I dared to ask, what does success mean to me, right here, right now? So ask yourself that question. Seriously, write it down. And don't write what sounds good, write what's true. Because the moment you redefine success, you stop chasing shadows. You stop comparing. You stop rushing. You stop feeling like a failure for not playing someone else's game. Instead, you walk your own path, even if it's slower, even if it's quieter, and in that space, you find peace. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. To Epictetus. Let them misunderstand you. Let them question your choices. That's the price of authenticity. Because when you define success on your own terms, you stop trying to win approval and start building a life that doesn't need. Lesson number 4, choose what to carry. Let go of the uncontrollables. You are carrying too much. Not in your hands, but in your mind. Worry about what they think. Stress about what might happen. Guilt over things you can't go back and change. And day by day, it's crushing you. But here's what makes it worse. Most of what you carry wasn't yours to begin with. The weight of other people's opinions, the pressure of expectations you never agreed to, the fear of outcomes that aren't even real, yet still rule your life. Let's pause here, because this is where Stoicism draws the line. Clear and brutal. Some things are up to us and some are not. Epictetus. That's not a suggestion. It's the foundation of inner peace. If something is outside your control, you let it go. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Because trying to control what's not yours is like trying to hold the ocean in your hands. So let's make this practical. Look at your life today. What are you holding on to that's not within your power to change? Someone's mood, your past mistake, a future event you've already imagined 10,000 ways. Write it down, name it, and then say out loud, "This is not mine to carry." Then redirect your focus to what is yours, your thoughts, your decisions, your values, your responses. You can't control how the world turns, but you can control how you show up in it, and that is enough. That is everything. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Epictetus. So let go, not with anger, but with clarity. Let go of needing everyone to like you. Let go of replaying what's already done. Let go of micromanaging a future that hasn't arrived. Every ounce of energy you waste on what you can't control is energy you steal from what you can. And what you can control is more powerful than you think. Because when you choose what to carry and set down the rest, you don't just feel lighter, you finally feel free. Lesson number 5. Speak the truth. Even when it's hard, let's talk about truth. Not the polished kind, not the sugar-coated version. The kind that sits in your chest, loud and heavy, but never leaves your mouth. Because telling the truth, even to yourself, is hard. You don't want to hurt anyone. You don't want to cause waves. You don't want to be seen as difficult, dramatic, or too much. So instead, you stay quiet, you nod, you agree, you say it's fine when it isn't. And every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you create a war inside your own mind. Here's what Stoicism teaches us. Truth isn't optional. It's a duty, a discipline, a daily practice. Because without truth, there's no clarity, there's no alignment, there's no real connection. To anyone or to yourself, Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple, uncompromising, and brutally necessary. So here's a moment of reflection. Where in your life are you playing small, just to be liked? Where are you holding back because you're afraid of being rejected for being real? That silence, it's not protecting you, it's limiting you, because when you swallow your truth long enough, you forget how to speak it at all. But truth doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it sounds like, "No, that doesn't work for me. I'm not okay with this. I need time. I feel hurt. This is what I really want." And when those words leave your mouth, not to attack, not to impress, but to honor your own reality, something shifts. You feel powerful, not because you won, but because you showed up as you. So here's your Stoic challenge. Speak one truth today, just one, to someone else or to yourself. Let it be messy, let it be imperfect, let it be honest, because the moment you speak your truth, you stop abandoning yourself to make others more comfortable. And that's the beginning of real peace. Lesson number 6, love yourself deeply without needing permission. Let's face something most people avoid. You've been taught to love others, to support them, to cheer them on, but no one ever really taught you how to love yourself. Not in the mirror affirmation kind of way, not in the treat yourself kind of way, but in the deep, grounded, unwavering Ray kind of way. The kind of love that says, "I have flaws, and I still choose me. I made mistakes, but I don't abandon myself. I don't need to prove, impress, or earn my worth. Most of us, we love ourselves, conditionally, only when we succeed, only when we're productive, only when others approve. But that's not self-love, that's self-bargaining, and it's exhausting. Here's what Stoicism whispers, soft but strong. You are not your results. You are your effort. You are your intention. You are your character. So stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting to be thinner, richer, calmer, smarter, and start choosing yourself. Now, start honoring the effort it takes just to show up, to keep going, to fight invisible battles no one ever sees. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to impress anyone. He wrote to remind himself daily that he was still worthy, even in failure. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. That's the lens. Not, what did I achieve today, but how did I care for myself today? So here's a small, radical act. Write yourself a note. Just one sentence. Start with, I'm proud of myself for, and finish it with something true. Maybe it's small, maybe no one else will clap, but your soul will notice. Because every time you choose to see yourself with kindness, every time you stop editing your worth based on other people's reactions, you reclaim something sacred, unconditional self-respect. And that's the foundation of every Stoic virtue. Because when you love yourself deeply, you don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't need applause to walk your path. You simply know you are enough, right here, right now. No extra proof required. Lesson Master 7. Remember, you will die, so live fully. This may sound harsh, but you will die. Not someday, not in the far future, but eventually. And maybe sooner than you think. And no, that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to awaken you. Because when you forget death, you drift, you delay. You fill your life with things that don't matter and call it normal. But when you remember death, you begin to truly live. The Stoics called this memento mori, a daily reminder that this life is fragile, short, and precious beyond belief. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Marcus Aurelius. Most people think this is depressing, but it's the opposite. It's liberating, because when you know your time is limited, you stop wasting it on things that steal your joy. You stop arguing to be right. You stop saying yes when your soul says no. You stop postponing your dreams, waiting for someday. Instead, you show up, you love harder, you speak truer, you rest deeper, and most of all, you choose presence over performance. You choose alignment over approval. You choose purpose over perfection. So here's your Stoic moment. Picture your last day. What do you wish you had done more of? What do you wish you had worried about less? Now ask yourself, why am I waiting to live that way? Because every breath you take right now is borrowed, not promised. And every moment you forget that, you risk living someone else's life, on someone else's timeline, chasing someone else's version of enough, but not anymore. Because now you know you don't need more time, you need more intention, you don't need more success, you need more soul. You don't need to live forever, you just need to live fully while you're here. And that is the most Stoic thing you'll ever do. Final reflection. The Stoic path begins here, so now. You've seen it. 7 quiet shifts, 7 deep truths, 7 ways to stop letting the world decide how you feel and start living like your peace actually matters. Not someday, not when it's convenient, but now. Because Stoicism isn't about being cold. It's not about detaching from life. It's about engaging with life, with clarity. It's about choosing better. One thought, one breath, one decision at a time. So let's make this simple. Real strength isn't found in control. It's found in clarity. Clarity of values, clarity of attention, clarity of direction. And now, it's your turn to step into that clarity, not with a giant leap, just with one honest reflection. Drop a comment below. What's one thing you'll stop carrying, starting today? Not for me, not for the algorithm, but for you, because that one line might be the beginning of a different life. Thank you for being here. Not just watching, but choosing to reflect, to release, to return to yourself. Thanks for growing stronger, wiser, and a little more stoic today.